Welcome back, my fellow mates. Today I'm kind of feeling better. Kinda. Just kinda. We are just moving into a new house. I got things to sort out, things needs fixed, and la da 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 da. Alright? Uh, I know I came yesterday saying I was going to explain what's going to happen to the channel, and if the channel's going to work out, and to be honest, I have a lot of stuff on my mind, and we're just going to get it out there. For one, I don't know if I'm going to be making up my mind or if I want to scream, because there's like a load of stuff on my plate already. I can't, figure it all out by myself. As you know, I started this channel back in 2013, or was it 2011? I can't remember. It's been a long time. Anyway, so I made some changes thus far, and it's been kind of okay, in an appropriate sense. I mean, I started by trying to record gameplay of World of Warcraft, because after 2010, my brother, stole some stuff, and, some of the stuff I couldn't get back, and so on and so forth. But by the very mention, I was too hard in gameplay that I wanted to keep going. And then someone brought up the idea of Steam, and I was like, that's something I could probably work with, because Steam had this thing where you have like a digital uh, copy of every game, that you didn't have to worry about anything being stolen. So say if you had an account, which some of you already do, most of you don't. But, let me just say that if you had an account, back then, most of the games that you would have had like a code for, because you bought a copy of something that you needed a code for, and to express that code, you could put it on Steam. That game would enter your Steam library. You wouldn't have to worry about losing anything, except for, details that, maybe Steam didn't have like a digital copy of that or something. Well, it's getting to that point where Steam has like a lot of things in inventory, such as video games, music, movies, TV shows, and series. Um, Steam is getting pretty popular around this time of year, and it's like, no matter what you do, it's going to be one of those things that build up and occasionally, gives you more than what you've bargained for. But that's like saying you got to spend a lot of money just to get to that again. But if you lost your computer, or if you lost anything of the sort that, you would get in touch with your account, well, SteamGuard has this thing where it's like you can send you an email to verify that it's you logging into the system, and it will send you a code through the phone or through your email address or anything of that sort. You can set it up in your preferences or options or whatever settings, systems, or anything. I'll let you figure that out. So that being said, it's like you're opening up into a gaming community where nothing gets stolen, nothing gets hacked, and nothing, gets dearranged or anything of that sort. So pretty much you personalized every property you so owned in that said library that you have an account for. And due to that circumstance, I mean, coming from me, that right there is personal property. As far as, your library goes. If you wanted to keep things in your storage, keep it in storage. If you wanted to re-download it later, that's fine too. And that is something I really enjoyed Steam for, because it allows the values of, buying something and not really getting rid of it until you want to actually get rid of it. And that says a lot because it comes across things like um, the personal value that you had to cherished memories of your so-called gameplay and experience and such, and your childhood past or whatnot. Um, Even MMOs these days, they're coming across uh, idealistically hack proof now that it's linking up straight into your account, such as DMO. Let's use DMO for example. Um, Bandai Namco partnered up with Move Games, who then did this recent uptake of creating an MMO of a series that was almost long forgotten because it hardly ever shared any unique experiences with people all over the globe. Because in the US, seeing episodes like Digimon are very rare anymore. But you get to see the experiences no matter what, because some people would actually use websites and whatnot to watch, you know, Japanese episodes or the manga, read the manga. And sometimes people would actually create fanfic that other people would show interest in reading. And it comes across to some other people that, this is something like nostalgia. People come back to this and say, you know what, I kind of missed this. I wish I can come back to it. Some may have done this already, and it's one of those things that you shared this experience with other people that you just met, and you just have this attitude towards things that you will never forget. It's like um, you share the experience of helping people out and sharing joy with the things that you like, and giving across like the most extreme experience ever. And for most people that use the launcher, that's fine too, because the launcher is trying to be set based on a multiple um, firewall, which you have to put in your password and then your PIN number and so on and so forth. Sometimes that can be guessed, but if you have like these people sitting at DATs and telling people that these are websites that will give you some sort of silk-free items, you know, for free, and that's not the case. That seriously, don't fall for anything like that. That's the reason why most of these people are getting banned from DMO, because people don't understand, especially if they're new. People don't understand that there are people out there that would actually do something to actually ruin your setup, because you can A, lose your Digimon, B, lose all of your items, especially the tradable ones that you've spent so much money for, and C, just lose everything. And you would have a better luck or a better chance of signing up with Steam that wouldn't happen whatsoever, because there is no password, there is no PIN number. There's just a simple account linked up to your Steam account, and then whenever you launch that game, it sends you straight into the server selection and straight on to playing your game. That's all there is. All right. There are games like that, and there are games like from the launcher to your current desktop. And what that means is sometimes there is no compatibility to, summing or sum up the factor of, linking up to the account and not have to worry about passwords whatsoever anymore. And sometimes it's very hard for people to actually commit to coding and such to make it work, because whenever you have like a semi ideal of coming across something like bringing your account over to a new system and having it processed through a different server, it doesn't work like that. And I'm sorry to tell you, but it's just really hard. especially for people who are actually programming the game themselves. And I've learned from experience coding is very hard. And I tried to code myself, but I can't even write 3 lines, to be honest with you. I can't even write one. I used to do this thing where, with Windows XP, mind you, where this program, like the run systems, would actually code in the things that you want to program, and you can make a viral like digital ball game that would go bouncing across the screen if you wanted it to. And it would be a small window if by choice. You can program the size of the window, you can program the color of the ball, and so on and so forth. For me, that was the start. And I didn't actually finish that program because for me, it was mind-boggling to a point where it's like, okay, so I can actually piece a puzzle together and make a game out of it. But for me, that systematic theme or theory didn't quite catch on because there were obstacles getting in the way. And some people were on the side of that were showing me how to use hacks into this sort of program. And for me, it was like, it was simple in ways of didn't need much code because the computer can write the code for you. You just got to tell it what you want it to do. And after everything that was done, I got in so much trouble that the people that shared this with me got irritated enough to show me no more. And I'm like, okay, okay. So this is back in 2006, maybe 7, I believe. So I stopped messing with that altogether. So that was like 3 windows ago. 4 windows ago, actually. Because XP, Vista, wait, yeah, 7, Vista, and then 8. Yeah, that was 4 windows ago. Um, no, 3 windows ago. You can't count this one, can you? No. So, back when all this started, it's kind of like I tried to find a great capture to use, and it was getting to a point where it got irritating because people used vlogging cameras. This is back when uh, blog TV and Ustream were a thing. And this is way before Twitch became a thing, especially for me. MySpace was still in, and it keeps going through this constant update that it started irritating so many people. I even got annoyed listening to the whining of the people that were like, why do you gotta change so much? Why do you gotta do this? Why do you gotta do that? And it freaked people out to a point where there's like a lot of bugs going through everybody's profile and accounts. Some people even volunteered to fix them and such, but you know, it just got way too much. Everybody dropped MySpace and went on to Facebook. And it's like, okay, okay, I can see that happening. And so I got off of Facebook, or not Facebook, MySpace, went on to Facebook and enjoyed my time there, and so on and so forth. And then I got to an understanding since the movie came out. I watched the movie, spent 2 hours trying to figure it out, and finally I realized this was about the real deal. And I haven't put much thought into why it took so long to actually get to know Facebook even existed. So much for that idea. Um, so I try to look up for some old friends of mine, people I used to went to school with. They don't talk to me anymore. Some of the people I did talk to ended up blocking me for stupid reasons I don't want to get into. But I do want to say this. The people that I did want to talk to that got me into wanting to record things on YouTube on my said channel that I so created for streaming games. They had this program called iCam, and it was blurry as heck. I don't even know how it even got started, but people were trying to give me this said advice, trying to, get into this idea profile that you could use this program to, record games on. And it was so bad, you couldn't even read the text into the, message box. And I was like, okay, I'll try. And then Blizzard had their issues, and Trials couldn't talk for days. I was like, okay, so somewhere in the translation, everybody just got confused, everybody just got mad, everybody was fuming. And the people that I did meet got me interested in other games that I couldn't even bother to record or pick up because to me it had to be first experience, right? And meeting new people, excuse me, going into crowds like exploded. People were cussing up a storm. And I made a transition to where, I used to be this guy who would actually cuss up a storm himself. But I changed the format to where it's like, okay, so let's ease into, cussing and so on and so forth and go into this uh, PG sort of ordeal. And I went through ideas just to, pick up on and try to, select a name for myself and try to put myself out there. And then things happened. And it's like, somehow, people were so edgy on YouTube. And you should know this by now. People were so edgy back in 2007 and out, right? It came to a point where it's like, okay, so YouTube became this big popularity contest where if you actually put out a video, it becomes viral. That's where it got complicated because whenever you try to ask for advice, nobody will give it to you because they were afraid of. Uh, it's not a contest. What was it? Um, Competitiveness. The idea behind, you know, taking other people's subs and whatnot from them and so on and so forth. That was not my intention. I'm going to say it right now. My intention was this. I wanted to show that I could have fun. Build a community where everything's based on just having fun. And it got to a point where, vlogging every day wasn't such a big deal anymore, and it was going to become this thing where everything was changing and blooming into this whole entire ordeal where it's like, okay, so people could still pick up a camera. People could still, program this whole ordeal where you could just do whatever you want and not be worried about what everybody else is doing, just worry about you. And it got so bad that, people came up with this ideal solution to report others for, like, stealing ideas. If somebody was playing a game and started streaming it or something on that alongside those lines and be like, they're doing this because this popular YouTuber is doing it, and so on and so forth. I'm still fighting allergies. Um, and some videos would be yeah, copyright stricken. And it's pretty obvious that it was stupid because there was a reason below those videos, and it said something stupid along the lines of, were you doing it because of the other YouTuber that was doing it? And you would have the option to say no. But then that option to say no would even take down the video anyway. And it was like, what the heck? Something stupid along those lines. And it wasn't worth it. So YouTube came up with an algorithm, try to fix things to where it's like, okay, so if you get a sponsor, you're in. If you get more views than everybody else, you're in. If you get somewhat of a cash flow, you're good. And now all of a sudden everybody's worried about cash flow and getting paid by YouTube and so on and so forth. Sorry, I'm dealing with allergies. It's crazy. And it came to a point where everybody's just reaching out for attention to get some money. And to me, it's not such a bad idea. It's not about competitiveness, competitions, and whatnot. It's more about having fun with who you are, who you wanted to be in life. And this is where King Willix came in. I was playing Nintendo for quite the longest time. And by the time the fifth generation Black and White came out, it was like, okay, so I'm going to name my character Willix. I'm going to just shoot a name out there and just pick it because I wanted to so badly take the name Willix because it was going to be my own. And for the while, I thought I was the first, and it was like there was no other Willix out there, right? So what I did was I took my first name, yeah, my first name. I took my name, put EX at the end because they had like EX trading cards or something like that, and they had Mewtwo sitting right there and being like, "You can get this for a very good price." And I'm like, "Forget that. I'll just take that." And I created a character that was based off of some idea of what I wanted to create, and after the fandom, it slipped. I've seen so many people come up with sick names like King Nappy. King Nappy was awesome, and I couldn't even develop a hype like that if I even wanted to. And so I figured, okay, so when DMO came around, I've tried XSplit, I've tried OBS Classic. They didn't work out for me. And now that I have OBS Studios, I'm working up the attention to figure out what's good and how to, emulate my surroundings and put things in places where I want them to be. So far, it worked out pretty good. I haven't had any complaints, right? So here's the thing. Um, After joining in DML, and believe me, if I found out this game was out before 2013, believe me, I would have joined up and been a veteran of that said game. But anyway, so DMO came across my desk, and I was like, okay, so let's try this. Back in 2007, I remember doing some research on the Royal Knights, right? 2013, I decided to join up with the game. I just signed up to Move Games, and I was like, boom, there we go. Let's download the game, shall we? Downloaded the game. 2 hours later, booted up that game. My hype was so high. I was like, yes! I was geeking out. I was seriously nerding like crazy. I was up there. I was really up there. And I was getting help from people left and right. And by the time I knew it, I had Vmon. He was a little 3x5, by the way. And I started this back in the Billzamon server, I believe. No, it was Lucamon server. So, in that Lucamon server, I had started with uh, a 3x5 XVmon. And my collection grew. And the more it grew, people got mad at me because all I ever hashed was 3x5s. And this was way before the fruit ever came out. And it was like, okay, what am I doing wrong? Why are people getting mad? And it's like, first off, you're an XVmon man. It's OP. You may have gotten so lucky as to get up here as far as you did with that Vmon, but you were just that lucky. And I was like, well, coming from you, thank you. That means a lot to me. And just to get from 1 to 99 was a long shot, right? I met some good friends along the way, of course, and they helped me understand the game a lot better, and I seriously tried my best. And the one guy, and I hope he's watching, the one guy that was helping me with Gilmon, he gave me 3 eggs. One after another. 4x5. Okay. Hatched into a 3x5. Come on, dude. Put all the data in. Give you another 4x5. Do it right this time. I was like, so you want me to delete this one and hatch this one? He's like, yeah! I took the egg. Hatched it into a 3x5. He's like, what is wrong with you? And I was like, dude, I just hatched it. It was like, I was like, as soon as I hear that sound, I just want to hatch. He's like, no, you got to stick all the data in. I was like, do I even have enough for it? He's like, I'm giving this to you now. You better hatch it this time. So this time he gives me a 5x5, right? So a 5x5 with normal data. I should hatch it with all the data put into it. By the time I heard that sound again, I was like, hatch. I was like, that's it. I am effing done. This is the last time I'm ever talking to you ever again. I was like, dude, what's wrong? He's like, you've wasted 3 of my eggs. And I'm like, I'm sorry, I just don't know how to do this. I was like, okay, number one, if you want to get something done right, you got to stop, with the one-time thing and just wait until it does it 3 times, okay? I was like, okay, I'll try it better next time. He stopped talking to me. 3 weeks later, okay, I went down to Snowman Village and I picked up, I think it was like 10 Gilmon eggs. I hatched them into 4x5s, and dude, the growth fruit came out, right? I put the one on my XV1. He was awesome. And Gilmon didn't need it, but I did manage to make him 5x5 by putting him over 120. Okay? His star was green. By a mercenary egg. So I thought, okay, so I know what I did wrong now. I'm going to put this into practice and I'm going to figure out this method. So by the time I got so many royals up to 4x5, XVmon was my only 3x5 at level 99. I was like, dude, I need to figure this out and I need to figure it out now. So the method was this. There was a sound that you can hear if you listened to it carefully. I had a steady stream, like a heartbeat or something. And if the lights flashed like so bright that it was becoming so rapid and slowly easing back into its normal rhythm, that's when you get to hear and so on and so forth. 3 seconds after that, you can actually input your data. You got to time it right or else it's not going to work. I told so many people that, and they were like, dude, I can't believe you actually figured that out. And I was like, I told you. I seriously told you. And it's like, that's when I became King Willix. And it's like, I had all these royals, right? From Vmon to Kudamon, all the way back, right? And it's been a while since, we've had Examon come join the server. And I was building up Alphamon, Omnimon, and then so on and so forth until finally Examon came into the game and we were just missing the last 3, which was Genkumon, so on and so forth. I can't remember all their names. It was like Genkumon, Jessmon, and I can't remember the third one. Oh, Leopardmon. That's it. Those 3. And to me, it didn't mean anything because DMO was coming out with Digimon left and right anymore. It was becoming this experience to where it's like, it wasn't as time consuming, but it got to a point where it's like you have to have this idea behind what you want to do and be committed to it. That commission, yeah, being committed means like you have to farm things for yourself, figure it out for yourself. And for me, I did that. And it got to a point where it's like, okay, so now I know what kind of data I'm looking for. I know what kind of eggs I'm looking for. I know how to make their, uh, what do you call it? Their attributes go up to max. And it's like, okay, so not only are you using clones, you have to do the attributes too. And not just the Digimon attributes, but your clothing attributes. And they all tie into where it's like you can do so many things with. And that's why my XVmon was so OP. I had him almost maxed out by the end of the day. And I was hoping to do it with this one on the Omnimon server, but I didn't get very far without the help I needed. And the help that I needed was from a close friend of mine who sadly did not come back for whatever reason, and I'm starting to worry. And we were going to do this thing about X-Pro Bro Gaming. I don't think was going to happen with him, by my side. Of course, I'm going to start X-Pro Bro Gaming. I'm still hoping he comes back, because there's still room for him yet. I just don't know if he's coming back. And this is where I'm seriously going to lose my mind, because hardly anybody I have on my Steam account barely talks to me anymore. I don't know why. And it wasn't until, right before I moved in here that I finally realized what was going on. I have converted into the me that I wanted to stay clear from. And it's the kind of me that you would hate to get to know. It's the me that ignores all the expenses just to learn what basic there was to understand what the value of this said point was. And it's like, you don't want to research it, you just want somebody to tell you to know what it was that instant. And it's like, learning about it, reading about it was so slow that you would have to take the time off just to, free your mind and get to know these things before things get out of hand. For me, it was very explosive. I turned into the freaking Hulk on this subject, and people just darted me into the wrong direction. I'm like, dude, this is why trolls exist. This is exactly why people need to work together in order for things to actually go right. And it's like, some people don't know where to look. For me, that means, especially for me, I don't know where to look. And whenever somebody doesn't know where to look, you don't just tell them to Google it. Okay, you got to show them a link at least, like a wiki page or something of that sort. Because for me, I go to looking for something on Google, they gave me the wrong address, and whenever they give me the wrong address, I end up on the wrong freaking page where my computer gets hacked all the time. And something like this FBI page comes up and says, this is a federal offense, and so on and so forth. And so many people got this page, right? They've realized it wasn't an actual federal offense. This is something created by people who are hackers and wanted to just get money from you regardless of any situation. And this is why people just, call these houses like, um, they know your name, they know your phone number, they know your house address, and they're going to threaten you that you're going to get picked up by the FBI because so on and so forth. And to me, that is just so ignorant anymore. And it gets to a point where it's like aggravating. And this is the reason why people should at least show the right links to the right people instead of trolling them all the time. You troll people too much, you're not going to make any friends. Especially new friends that, need that sort of help. And for me, I'm very misunderstood because every time I get into a conversation, I swear to God, people do not know what I'm talking about because everything I said has been taken out of context so far out of the way that everybody leans towards what did he say? How did he say it? And it's it frustrates me to a point where it's like I want to just jump out of my skin and scream, right? I am seriously losing my mind because whenever I grew up, I did not learn the basics of communication. I grew up learning communication through the people that I grew up around, such as my uncle, my brothers, and all their friends. And it's like, okay, so my communication's lacking because of those situations. I'm not blaming it on or anybody. It is that simple. And for me, I had nobody to talk to, nobody whatsoever. And it wasn't because I was antisocial, it was because people did not want to talk to me. People would rather want me to stop talking, if anything else. And it's like, it gets so frustrating, right? The only people that I would find would be online. And I don't see the problem with me. The problem that I see is the fact that people do not know when to shut up and when to make friends. People would rather, do the simple basics. And this is back in whenever I was in my teens. The simple basics like do drugs, do the stealing thing, do the whatever so often thing. It's like that's the wrong crowd. And my uncle, he was steering away from drugs. He was more of an alcoholic than anything. But he wasn't so into alcohol, like drinking every day. It was just the basics of, 2 cans a day, hang out with a group of friends, and just talk their ears off. Talk about sports, music, and vehicles. My brother, games, sports, vehicles, drugs, and stealing. And I was like, I was sitting in my own corner, doing my own thing. And it got to a point where it's like, okay, so all of my friends are at school. I have nobody here to talk to. What do I do? Hmm. Do what I'm told. Wait until tomorrow. Talk to my friends again. So it became this least valued thing to where it's like you have to wait until you're at a certain standpoint in time where you're actually communicating more and the things that you learned growing up isn't very existent and that you try to make your own appeal. And it comes to a point where it's like, from my understanding anyway, that you try to use your communication skills as often as you can, if not try to better yourself. And I tried to better myself, but it still came out the wrong way. So that's where broken English came in. And I was this awkward person that grew up without any knowledge whatsoever. People thought that I was being more hypocritical than anything. Uh, Sarcastic, annoying, um, so on and so forth. And it got to a point where my level of frustration even got even higher. And it's like, I can't even begin to function with the type of things that I grew up learning. And it's kind of like, so I had this basic hello, goodbye, good luck, so on and so forth. But it came to a point where it's like that wasn't enough. And I had to hang out with more friends. So I had to make some friends. And they were kind of hard to come by because they were more like me. Very distant, very, uh, not so talkative, but very um, antisocial. That was the word. And by the time I realized what I was doing wrong, and it was too late. There we go. So that's how I became where I am right now. This is the reason why I'm about to lose my mind. It's because every time I try to communicate with people, and I'm sorry if I'm talking your ear off, making you guys bored and stuff, but I just needed to get this off my chest. This is the reason why King Willix is King Willix. The reason why King Willix is so frustrating is because It's not that easy for me to actually communicate. Every time I try to talk, people would think that I mean something or something else. And it's like, they don't ask what. They get frustrated. They don't ask about my opinion. They, or my side of the story. They just get frustrated and just, goodbye. This is the reason why I need an interpreter. This is the reason why I've asked for close friends to understand the point that I needed to get through. And without that understanding or level of understanding, I can't get through my day. I seriously can't. And there's no one I can get to know that close for such a short amount of time just to get things to go through. And with that point being said, I cannot get through my day. So I have to make a choice. Is X-Pro Bro Gaming community going to be right for me at this point in time? Is X-Pro Bro Gaming going to be a community that's even going to exist at all? I founded X-Pro Bro Gaming because I wanted to make something better of myself. I wanted to better myself into a version of who I was to versus who I want to be in life. I wanted to share the experience with people to actually help other gamers out, to share this, momentum of going through things like brick walls and so on and so forth without having any worries or frustrations or drama included. There's only two rules in this community. One, no talking about politics. Number two, no talking about religion. Because those topics go out of hand so much that there have been so many disputes, so many arguments, so many mindless, you know, just chaos, okay? Mindless chaos going through the air because people do not know when enough is enough. Because if you think about it, just for 1 second, if you think about it, one sentence out of those two topics would light a spark, burn things down to the very foundation that I try to build up on. And it's like, I need to go through this with a higher level of understanding. I need to go through this with a higher level of sense that it would actually create something more than just destruction. And it would mean something more than just, you know what I mean? It's like I'm trying to create something that everybody can get along with. Everybody can just function together with. Not that it means a lot to just some, but to everyone. And it's not one of those communities where it's like this one is better than the other. No, all communities are welcome. Okay, this is like one of those things that I would want to build that everybody can get along with, right? Markiplier's community can join in. Uh, Anything. It's going to be a foundation to where it's like a global or multiverse thing just connects, right? An alliance of sorts, if you will. And that's the way I wanted to see things happen. This is the way I wanted to see things pop, grow, expand. It's not one of those things where everybody just gets shoved out of the way because of an argument. It's one of those things that if you can't understand something, something has to be interpreted into a way others could understand. Because it gets to a point right now for me to where every time I try to say something, people just look in the other direction and says, don't worry about that weirdo. He's just speaking nonsense. I just wanted to build a community where people commute. I wanted to build a community where people can get along, share things, go through experiences together, not be like those crazy trolls out there who say garbage, like somebody asking for help. How do you do this? How do you do that? Hit Alt 4 or Alt and F4. You just made me close my previous progress. He's like, job well done. No, not well done. That's trolling. Okay? That's enough of it. That's where I draw my line. You won't see that line, but I drew it in the sand. You have to go to Africa to see it. Okay? Again, more nonsense, but I hope my point got across very fine. Anyway, so it's that sort of example I want to set for the community. It's that sort of example that I want to set for myself and others included. But there is a bit of age difference. I'm not even sure if everybody's going to agree to terms or what, but that's one thing I wanted to bring up, the age difference. I have somehow managed to get like a ton of kids into this group that it wasn't my intention of doing. Number one, yes, they are subscribers, and yes, they started following me because of doing DMO, because of my knowledge of DMO, and because the idea behind it, that it just became so bad that there's like 30% of kids than there are adults. And it's like, somebody came up to me and was like, dude, how old are you? I'm like, 32. And he's like, thank God you're not 14. I was like, why, what's wrong with that? He's like, you know how many kids play this game? I'm like, a lot? He's like, yeah. And I was like, okay, so I understand why people would be so worried. Because people are being called pedophile for the wrong reasons. Name calling is one thing. But to use name calling in a context that doesn't need any context in doesn't work. Because if you use something outside of context, it has no meaning whatsoever. So if you use context, it has meaning. Saying someone is a pedophile when he's not a pedophile is a different idea behind pedophile. You know, this is the reason why one of the Twitch streamers was banned from Twitch because he used it out of context. Let's leave it at that. So, in my mind, I've never asked so many questions because I lost my functionality in communication. That it happened again. Did you see that? I lost context for communication. There was a simple thing that people should have known to do that I never knew how to do because it wasn't told to me. Some people should have known this by now. Most like me do not. So this is the thing. Ask for age. Even if kids try to be like adults saying it's inappropriate to ask a lady her age, it is to be asked, okay? This is 2017. People are going to jail for the wrong things. It needs to be asked. So you can be judged into one group from the next, okay? If you're a kid, you sit in the kids' table. If you're an adult, you sit at the adults' table. End of story. And I don't want to be rough, but that's the way it is. Because I had one too many close calls already because of, you know, miscommunications, misdirection. And it's like you have so long a table, a thin line. If you cross that line, it's gone, right? If you cross that line, so many already have, and I'm not saying it was me, but so many already have. And it's like Tobuscus. He crossed that line so many times, he wasn't careful enough. And that's why he's not living in the States anymore, because laws. Um, so many judged him for what he wasn't. So many judged him for what he wanted to be. So many judged him for what he is like the most. And for me, that is completely wrong. That is so out of context. Let me just bring it to the light right now. People ruin other people's lives over stupid stuff. So once you realize that you've ruined somebody else's life, Imagine what would happen if that was yours. Could you do that to yourself? Would you let somebody do that to you? Would you be okay being in their position right now? So how can you live with the fact that you would ruin somebody else's life and not your own? See, this is the one thing that people don't think very hardly on, because it's like days like this, people don't think at all. And I tried so hard to think, and it's just like my mind just takes a toll over the wrong stuff altogether. So age appropriation, age verification, and all of this other stuff needs to be verified before the community goes wrong. People need to start listening to what's going on around them. People need to understand what it is to be an actual functional community. Instead of being left or right, you need to be one. Okay? You need to think together, you need to talk together, and you need to build this communication to be a better person instead of being, this so-called left versus right ordeal. We've heard so many stories about that already. It's out of control. So many statues collapsing because people ordered them to come down, and by the time they get put back up, it's already too late, they're destroyed. And it's like, it gets to a point where it's completely obvious. It gets to a point where it's humanity at its worst, destroying itself because it doesn't have the understanding it should over evolution. It's 2017. It's today. It's the now. What happened? We destroyed history. That's all it is. 2018 is not going to get any better because yesteryear's history is not here today because of those said personality traits, because of those said new thoughts that are coming in, because of those said ideas of what the argument should be instead of what it is today. We're tearing each other apart, and this is where my community comes in as a multiverse connection. Let's build a connection, build onto ideas, give those ideas a thought, and then build up on functionality with communication. And this is going to be a variety of communication, not just one, but more, so on and so forth. So that being said, I hope you understand very well where I'm coming from, because for me that felt like an hour's worth of conversation, or if not 2 or 3 hours worth of conversation. Things have been put out of context. Yes, I may have jumped the rails a bit, but it was needed because there's a lot that I needed to get off my chest. There was a lot that I needed to focus on. I'll see you on the next episode. Oh, and I wanted an idea to come through. I wanted to pitch a thought, rather. If there was going to be a way that I could merge my channel with a few other people out there who would actually like to maybe enter a chat with me through X Pro Bro mini series called Podcast, where we talk about games and so on and so forth, and communicate on what kind of joy it was, what you had to do, and what the strategy base was, and what your mindset was on. Those sort of things. If you like that idea, please rate, comment, and subscribe. And if you like what I said and talked about here, please rate, comment, and subscribe. I'll see you in the next episode. This is your King Willix. I'm still feeling a little ill. I'm going to go out for some fresh air. It's getting hot in here. Peace out.